Flips the ball back. Alessio, caught by Lyon. It was high. Essendon's free right in front.
John.
I tell you what, I mean, Alessio certainly tried to take them on, didn't he? And
yes.
I can't see any tackle there above certainly the last one, but by then he was well and truly gone, wasn't he?
Yes, you think his first action was to evade, and
unsuccessul in doing that, or in trying to do it.
Some decisions can hurt you badly, and he gets a shot at goal here from a dubious decision, but Essendon really have made all the money, all the runnings thus far, though, Mick.
Yeah, they certainly control the ball. It's also interesting to see where they're playing Gary Lyon. He's playing on Scott Lucas across the half-back flank.
Alessio for the first goal of the game. He's got it.
In fact, Cornsey, I think the high tackle that we eventually saw on Stephen Alessio, I think the umpire would have been unsighted there. I think it's the left arm that goes over Alessio's shoulder, not from Lyon there, but that one. Well, the umpire is actually left of screen, so wouldn't have seen it at all. So it seems as though he's paid it against Lyon, and that was a guess.
Well, there was definitely a hand there, but the goal is on the board. Yes, and we see Moorcroft, Fraser, and young Solomon.
Curie wide in the members' wing, as we see here. Just the body contact was there. I think it was within 5 metres there, John, but he got the ball forward as quick as he could. And in his wisdom, Curie had the option to play on, and he converted in a very good manner.
Lyon is playing on Scott Lucas, who's been a terrific player for us in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and Gary Lyon's just been a typical experienced player, just wearing him like a jumper, and other Essence players are getting upset about it.
Seacamp from near the back pocket. Olorenshaw! And landed on his feet like a cat. Back to Calthorpe. Beautiful delivery. It's still a fair way out for Blumfield.
That's what Essendon have got to do when they get the transfer of play into the centre corridor, knowing that Melbourne players will overplay the situation, trying to block the Herds and the Lloyds and the Lucas to lead into. That's what the
Alessio in the pack. Steins at the front. Buick had a chance but missed it. Phoebe. Matthew to Stephen. Uze. Kick by Uze towards centre wing. Gergic the only chance. Wellman the spoil. Hardwick to mop up. He's swamped. Masiti, a bit too slick for Wellman. Well, Leoncelli covered 2 of them then.
Well, I've got to say, at this stage, boys, the Melbourne pressure and intensity around the ball is fierce. Now, both teams have started well, but there was 3 or 4 Essendon to 1 there, and you just saw Leoncelli go. He kept coming at it, and he went straight over Sean Wellman, who perhaps should have taken the first grab. Desperation wins games.
Calthorpe's kick sits up for Varney. Back to Uze. Trouble for you. Like lightning to Matthew Phoebe. Unstuck. Jukovic's hand pass. Calthorpe behind Jukovic with his. Eventually Masiti takes it. On a long lead, Alessio. Too far out to score. Oh, Ingerson smothers. Pryor from 50 metres. Good raking kick. It's home.
Yes, well, it's a goal, and if anything, Essendon was just tending to overuse the ball a little bit. You saw Alessio give the handball. It came back to him after it was smothered. He was just able to get it to Pryor, who ran onto 50. He didn't look. He didn't worry about the options that might have been within 50. He went straight from goals, and good league AFL footballers these days should be able to kick a goal on the run from 50 metres. That's exactly what Mark Pryor did. Goals off the wing, so important.
First quarter can get them to within a point after the siren.
Yes, well, it's a regulation mark in front of the eyes, but strong hands. He had to complete it under a lot of pressure from Seacamp, who's given nothing away. And Lloyd, under so much pressure since those 10 goals in the pre-season games, is an outstanding young prospect, but every week now being tagged much more fiercely than he ever could have believed.
Well, he's kicked just 18 goals in 8 games this year, way short of his 63 goals last year. This is tough. On the boundary line, swirly breeze. Oh,
that is
how do you like that? That is a miracle.
Well, that is the class, the stamp of a champion. He's not quite a champion yet. You don't want to give him that tag, but...
And Eastall with a good jump, wins the hit out. Olorenshaw fights hard for it at ground level. And the umpire will have to ball it up again. This time with no restrictions, so we'll have about 24 players around the ball.
That's been the way it's been happening, Drew. They've tended to get most players into the centre of the ground, moving forward and back and keeping the full forward line with a lot of room to move in.
Calthorpe trying to get it clear. Eventually Blumfield. He does work it clear. Eastor's kick inside 50. Up high Mercury. At the back Matthew Phoebe. To Lyon. Uze. Uze's kick to Stephen Phoebe. Well, he dropped what he should have taken. Knocked the ball in cleverly to Uze. Uze to centre wing. Hurd's got it. Ball jolted free. James McDonald did particularly well. Woden's kick to centre half forward. Clean bowls Pryor. Sean Smith caught in a good tackle. And hacked out of defence by Berbakoff. Melbourne trying to work it towards the wing. Not too much subtlety about trying to find the line, Leoncelli. He didn't find the line. Johnston, who then left it for him. Steins caught in a great tackle, Eastor. Lucas, Hardwick, Berbakoff. Ingerson works to the front, but can't mark. Johnston. Little hand pass. Didn't hit the target on the full. Hopgood to Johnston. And he's given it straight up to Pryor. Michael Pryor has taken 6 marks already. Mark Mercury with plenty of space down the centre corridor. Long to full forward to James Hurd. And Ingerson sockers for the boundary line. Lloyd's dangerous no matter where he is. Kick smothered and the ball out of bounds.
Drew, all the crowd are screaming, Hopgood's bleeding, get him off the ground. I was in the middle of the ground just in at that quarter break, and I've got to tell you, the wind conditions certainly changed. They're very, very swirly down here, and the ball use must be spot on by both teams, as we see Hopgood come off the ground now.
Well, he's certainly bleeding, John, and the umpire didn't have too much trouble spotting that.
You should hear the crowd, get him off!
Used to be just before he had that little bit of a run.
It was a mark of courage in the old days, wasn't it, to play on with the blood streaming down the face?
I think now the opposing teams use it as a bit of a tactic to get rid of some of these guys and make sure that they get removed from the ground at the earliest opportunity.
Yeah, Magoni coming on for Hopgood, and it makes a totally different perspective of the game these days. I mean, how do you stop a cut that's so deep and bleeding as freely as that so quickly so the player can come back onto the game?
Well, he's going up to the room, so I think he might get the staple.
And there's got to be a place for the boxing cut men in this sort of situation.
Ball alive in the forward pocket, and now back out of bounds.
We saw it last night with Fremantle and St Kilda. Certainly changed the game when Stuart Lowe went down.
Yeah, I think he had a few more problems than a cut on his head, though, Dipper.
Alessio and Steins. Oh, Steve Alessio. First game last week for nearly a year, and how's that for a kick for goal? Just missed.
Yes, and that's why they just want to see him play more. For him back from that stress fracture of the bone in his foot. He's so agile for a big man. He's got such good skills. Played basketball in his early years. Just gets it from hand to foot so quickly.
Woden scores level again. Uze well before acceptances. And that's Hayden Lamaro playing his second game for the Demons. He was a last-minute inclusion for Jamie Shanahan. Lamaro, number 46 for the D's. And you can catch up with the game and update your stats every 10 seconds on the website. And in 10 seconds you might find that Todd Viney just had another kick. Gergic went through without the ball. And McDonald out of play.
It's just a game of ebbing and throwing at the moment. No real team has taken control of the in-close situations, and naturally because of the wind conditions, the ball delivery isn't precise. But it's just going to be a game of yardage, and the side that persists the most will probably come out in front at the end of the day.
White did well. Little hand pass out wide to Smoker. Gains a few metres.
Yes, and I think it's indicative of the state of the two teams. Essendon are just so fiercely desperate. They've had more of the ball and been inside 50 more than Melbourne have, but Melbourne just slightly more composed, I think, a bit more efficient with their use of the ball. But Essendon are desperate to win this game of football.
It's today's environment can kick goals from that situation. Just a wasted opportunity.
Not selfish enough. You've got to be selfish within that 30-metre area of goals, I think.
And Fletcher's kick wasn't touched by anybody, so it'll be a free kick to the Demons, to White. Demons lead by 7 points. Should have been 12 after McDonald had it. Smith, a good leap again. Off to Berbatov. Spirals the ball over the wing. Punch to the front by Gary Lyon. Uze round the corner. Viney. Kick by Viney. Smith at the back. Rover needed. Jukovic there for the Bombers. Calthorpe. Towards the wing. The two ruckmen jostle. And while they jostled, over the top came Lucas.
And that's exactly what Scotty Lucas has got to do. He's got to come and meet the ball rather than getting a one-on-one situation as opposed to Gary Lyon.
Moorcroft on the ground. Into Mercury. Unmarked as Alessio. 40 metres out. And Steve Alessio has too much experience. He'll go back and have a shot for goal.
Yes, we just see Scotty Lucas. Not a particularly high mark. Pack sat in front of him. Got it up in front of his eyes, played on pretty quickly, and Essendon, with Moorcroft just on the ground, having started the first quarter on the bench, just a bit more dash there, tending to overuse the ball still, Mick, when they're inside their forward line, but finding a Stephen Alessio within 40 metres of goals, and it certainly worked that time.
And he's a pretty good kick for a big fella as big Steve Alessio. I'd nearly back him from this situation, Cornsey.
Well, you've done your dough.
I've done my money.
You are a good punter, Mick, but you cast after that one.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that. Big Steve, wait till I see him.
Well, he kicked 4 last week in his first game since, round 12.97, and he was just really confident last week, and that time a bit tentative.
Yeah, Melbourne's movement away from the kickoff has been really good in recent weeks. Interesting to watch this one.
Leoncelli to Seacamp and bursting through the skipper, Viney. Viney's kick over centre wing. Johnston with Pryor.
Yes, they've been obviously working on that in their training drills a lot. They seem to be able to move the ball from the kick in quite efficiently. We saw there Viney's kick not quite accurate, but at least the ball is on their half-forward line rather than the half-back line.
Gergic with the big leap. James McDonald has really stepped up, that youngster. Johnston to the 50. Mercury. Mark Mercury, he's had 10 possessions, now 4 marks. Centre of the ground, Olorenshaw, a fumble, but he had a bit of time.
Good hands.
Olorenshaw gets it back from Berbatov. Kick by Olorenshaw to a big group at half forward. Oh, top mark, Lucas.
Well, Drew, you called that. That is an excellent mark. He could feel the pack coming from behind. He stood tall under it, kept his eyes on it, took the ball in front of his eyes. Doesn't have to get off the ground all that high. Just kept the ball in front of his eyes.
Gary Lyon then, but everybody pushing and prodding me here, wanting me to put my head on the block. I'll do the same to you folks one day.
All he was doing was falling on his direct opponent in the motion of the play, John.
That's right. You'd make a good advocate, mate.
Well, off the play, David Schwartz has just come on for his first run, and Gergic has gone off with just 1 touch. He was a star last week. Lucas for goal, and he's kicked it.
Yeah, very important player is Scotty Lucas. Once he seems to get his hands on the ball in the marking duels across half forward, all of a sudden Essendon look a better team. But that's great courage from a young player who's really getting better every time he goes out in the field. It's just that maturity through experience and through knowing where to run more often than not to the percentage spot. And that's the reason why Scotty Lucas has become a very valuable player for the Essendon team. Very important goal for the Bombers.
Lucas's first goal. He's had 6 possessions. Demons couldn't clear from the centre circle, but the Bombers can. Blumfield's kick up short of the 50. And the ball runs out.
And Drew, one player who's been playing really well the last couple of weeks for Melbourne is Paul Hopgood, as we see him on the screen now, just about to come back on after he gets his cars rubbed up.
Just a cut on the left eye, Dipper, was it?
Just a cut on the left eye, son.
Eastall works to the front. Well done, son. Started Woolwich Premiership last year in Adelaide. Hurd marks, and James Hurd will put the Bombers in front.
And this is very good coaching by Kevin Sheedy, knowing that James Hird is a very, very good body player in the one-on-one situation against Woe Woden. But it's Woe Woden going to a foreign part of the ground that he's not usually accustomed with. He usually gets a role to run with a player in the midfield, but to isolate him in a one-on-one situation back with James Hird is terrific coaching by Kevin Sheedy.
Yes.
Good play by Eastall. But here we see, just lost the body contact, did Woe Woden. No one else to help him in the back line, and Hird just played on methodical manner and kicked a goal.
Yes, and Neil Downer has to look at that particular matchup because that's the second goal Hird's done in that situation. You're right, Nick, when he can run with the player, it's fine, but he's virtually playing full back on James Hird at the moment.
Eastall wins in the middle, but Viney wrestles it out of there, loses control of it. Bombers have it. Calthorpe's hand pass, Masiti, taken off the ball by Leoncelli. Hand pass straight to Pryor. Hird in the chop again, caught behind this time. Seacamp marks. Woe Woden. White at right half back. Oh, who's that for? Way too high for Matthew Phoebe. Johnston. Steins had followed up. He's got Schwartz. Can't take the mark under pressure from Wellman, and the ball out of bounds.
And Seacamp's been a very good player at this stage of the game. He's directly opposed to Matty Lloyd across half forward. I wonder whether or not Kevin Sheedy be thinking, trying to mismatch and get some extra run on the ground, whether it be a Fraser or that type of player, to actually give some more run for the Bombers across half forward.
We saw Jim Steins come off through, and I'd imagine Jeff White will go into the ruck and Brent Gergic will go back to the forward pocket or full forward.
Yes, so Gergic had only a couple of minutes on the bench and has gone up to the goal square, being picked up by Fletcher.
And now we see the change down in Melbourne's defence also. Seacamp has gone back onto Hird. Woe Woden coming out to
Matty Lloyd.
Matty Lloyd, which is still not a very good matchup, you'd suggest.
Just push Lloyd back to the full forward position.
I guess what it also does is stops Woe Woden's run, which has been a feature of his play. And a great mark to Fletcher as we're discussing that.
Fletcher in front all the way and juggled it down to complete the mark. Lucas travelling far and wide. Centre of the ground. Lloyd can't take the mark. They've lost it. Uze. Smith on the 50. Runs into Berbikoff. And given up the hand pass to Lucas. Now Masiti for the Bombers. Round the southern stand side. Lloyd shrugs the tackle. Gets rid of the hand pass to Alessio and gets it back. Kick by Lloyd. Just outside 50. Phoebe a fumble. Barney. And good delivery to Gary Lyon.
Now why would Gary Lyon be being booed by the crowd, Drew?
He's just roughed up a few of the Essendon players today. He's certainly playing a physical game back there on the back line.
You'd be booed all the time, Dipper, if that was the case when you were playing.
He was. Lucas.
A good play, Jukovic.
He's still there. Seacamp, who's held the defence together. Gary Lyon, more boos for him. Johnson marks. Crowd want 50 for Johnson being taken down. No 50 forthcoming, but Johnston gains his own 50. Past the wing. Now inside half forward. Schwartz is there.
Good kick.
And centre wing, Blumfield takes the mark.
Change of directions on Drew.
Oh, gee, it wasn't a perfect kick, though. Good hands. Magnificent hands. Calthorpe. Pryor. Lucas. Evasive skills. Hardwick. On the bounce to Matty Lloyd. Back to the 50 he goes. Caracella. Buick can't take the mark. And Phoebe gets it out.
Well, they wanted out on the full, did Boris. It'd be interesting to have a look at the replay, but it definitely came up the boot, but did it carry to the boundary line?
I don't think it matters much to Boris, Cornsey. As long as it's near enough, he calls it, as long as it's on their forward line.
All the same, he should have took the mark. He's struggled over the last couple of weeks as Darren Buick. And at this stage of the game, he's only had 3 possessions, so he is struggling.
Mick, is James Hird playing a position? He's up in midfield near the wing. He's been forward and defence.
In the old terminology, you'd call it the utility, Drew, I suppose, but he's just floating around. He's controlling his starting point merely because Seacamp's his direct opponent now, and that's what they're probably trying to do. Get Seacamp, who's been the rock of Gibraltar for the Melbourne team, across half-back, trying to get him into areas of the ground that he's actually not familiar with too.
And I think what it's done, it's put Lloyd back at full forward again with Woden as the full-back, which is perhaps not the desired matchup.
From Melbourne's point of view.
Melbourne's point of view, yes.
Well, they're certainly missing Jamie Shanahan, who was a last-minute withdrawal. Lucas had time, and he's holding it.
And that's the only problem with Scotty Lucas. At this stage of his career, he's only a one-sided player. He's got to learn to develop. As we see in there, he came back into his left side. He's got to learn to play, have more awareness with his right side, and become a two-dimensional player. Very important.
Well, Gary Lyon's going to incur the wrath of the Essendon crowd again. He's just bowled over the Essendon runner. By accident.
By accident.
But certainly the Essendon runner went to ground after a collision with Gary Lyon.
Drew, if you're flying a kite at the moment, you want to hang on because you end up back in Melbourne. it is blown a gale down here.
Now Neil Danaher's reacted. He's put Seacamp back to full forward or full back on Matty Lloyd, and Woden's going to James Hird, who's floating across half back for the Essendon team.
Lyon playing in front, takes a safe chest mark. Gary Lyon booed at the MCG. Have you ever heard that? James Hird flies high but can't mark. Woden poleaxed.
Yes, and this is where Woden
hit high. Woden hit high, I suspect, yes, and will take the free kick.
But he was able to crumb the pack then, and you'll see Hird fly, or you don't see that. You see Woden getting collected as he ducked his head, perhaps.
Did he touch him?
Well, it looked as though it was his right arm, Mick, and we wouldn't have been able to get a clear view of that, but if anything made contact, it was his right arm, and that was sort of on our blind side.
So it was the same as the umpires, eh?
I didn't take much notice of where the umpire was.
The umpire was directly in the centre corridor, had the same vision that we did, John. Could have been a guess situation from the umpire.
I hope it wasn't a guess.
Well, here's Gergic, who hasn't featured today at all. This is just his second kick to the goal square. White is there. Brings it to the front. Rover wanted. James McDonald behind.
But there's that disciplined kick by Gergic on that occasion. It was more or less a half kick to that 15 to 20 metres out from goal. Gave the forwards, the leaping forwards in Smith and White, an opportunity to mark. Smith got his hands on the mark, but he actually didn't take it. But a great percentage play by Melbourne entering their forward 50.
The Bombers have kicked 2 goals to 1 in a very low-scoring quarter. Blumfield through the middle to Hird, who is everywhere, James Hird. In a hurry to the forward line. Alessio, edge of the goal square, misses.
Well, he wanted to push in the back, but he's gracious enough to smile wryly there. Hird out, dangerous handballing off the ground here, but nevertheless comes to Buick, and he's seen Alessio free. Just doesn't quite carry, but Stephen good enough. Right boot. Tried to con the umpire, but the umpire had none of it.
Well, I've got Alessio for 1 goal 3. Here's Viney. Essendon by 6 points. Kick by Viney. Smith is there wrestling. Schwartz. And a comfortable defensive mark to Peter Berbatov.
He's a very good player, is Peter Berbatov. Against Collingwood a couple of weeks ago, he was assigned the rocker. And he was a terrific... sorry.
Oh, Smith. Magnificent mark.
Now, you would wonder...
I don't think to do it because his coach wants him to do it. But the bottom line is that this should not be part of the game. Now, OK, the coach wants him to put pressure on Sean Smith when he's in the goal square.
Play the game, Johnny.
Yeah, well, I played the game.
John, I don't think he hit his head. I really don't think he hit his head with his fist or his hand.
Well, no, I don't think he hit it with his fist or his hand. Certainly with his arm.
Well, where's Smith now? What did he go off the ground for?
Well, he could have hit his head on the... Well, I think Moorcroft is innocent of all charges there.
Well...
Sorry, John.
Yeah, that's right. Not a problem. Smith's off the ground, though.
There we see there. He's awake. He's stunned still.
Kick by Viney, short of the 50. Punched out by Moorcroft. Solid contact on the footy then.
Yeah, Corns, he's just off the ground because he's got a bit of a headache at the moment. I'm sure he'll be back on very shortly. He's just telling the doctor he's all right. He's just taking a bit of a breather. He's disappointed the goal was missed, but...
Bombers by 5 points. Schwartz goes long. Offline. and out of bounds.
You can just see by the win situation on that occasion when Schwartz kicked the ball, it did go from left to right of screen, and it's so important the players adjust to that, because it's a side that's going to settle down and use the ball more effective than the opposition will come out in front.
Good mark, Wellman, who's been a great player for the Bombers this year. They've had a shocking season of it with just 3 wins in 8 games, but he has really stood up. He gets it back from Pryor. Hurd again. Good punch by Woden. It comes to Mercury. Mercury's kick short for Alessio. Punch down to the front and taken by Solomon. 1-out contest. Oh, yes, Lloyd.
A terrific half kick there by Mercury. He just waited it to give the front position to Alessio, but it was good defence from his Melbourne opponent. But the crumb was there. Terrific crumbing by young Solomon, who got front and square to the contest. And as we see, it's so important to get the front of the actual teammate's jumper. Great penetrating kick forward. Good strength in the one-on-one contest against Seacamp. Balanced when the ball hit the ground. Recovered a little bit quicker than Seacamp did Lloyd and kicked the goal off the ground.
Sean Smith not quite seeing straight at the moment, and he sits it out for the time being. Matty Lloyd gets his 2nd goal, his 20th of the season. And a bit of a break now. 11-point lead for the Bombers. Leoncelli for the Demons. Great hand pass to Stephen Phoebe. Phoebe low and hard to full forward. Gergich! Oh! Well, if it had been a plum pudding, it had been picking raisins off his face for a week.
And he just hasn't approached the game in the same attitudinal stakes as what he did last week, Drew. We've seen him against Melbourne last week, and he would have swallowed that young Greg Gergich. But it just goes to show how important it is to have consistency of attitude, consistency of performance when you're playing at the highest level.
As we did, Mick.
Good on you, Dipper. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Gary Lyon actually be pushed forward in the later stages of this the second term. David Schwartz is struggling across half forward. Also, Sean Smith's off the ground. But I think they need some leadership and direction in their forward 50 at this stage.
Schwartz, Berbakoff.
And as we speak, Mick Gergich has gone back to the half-back line, and I think Gary Lyon is going to drift forward.
We knew you'd make it, Coach. No worries. Ball's inside the 50 for the Demons. Leoncelli attacks it hard, but Pryor, has he played some sort of a game? Just gets the kick away. Into the centre square. Buick taps. Masiti, Olorenshaw, Calthorpe. Held. Yes, interference in the middle of the ground. And the free kick will be taken by Gergich, who kicks towards half forward. Schwartz, who started on the bench. He has had a poor season, struggling for form. Wellman marks.
Is that a 50-metre penalty, Johnny?
Well, I think it's just going through the umpire's mind at the moment. If a teammate is prevented from running past and taking the handball, the 50-metre penalty will be paid. I suspect in that case he was just running past but in the wrong direction.
Lloyd! How did he take that mark?
Well,
and it's a 50-metre penalty just by the way.
Lucky we were talking about it, Mick.
Sensational.
Well, watch it in replay. It didn't look as though he could. He had his body side to it. The reason he took it is because Marcus Seacamp's hand is there.
Acted like a platform,
and
didn't
it just stopped the ball getting through. There's no way known his body or his arm was going to stop the ball going through. But Marcus Seacamp, feeling righteously and rightfully aggrieved because he had a part in it.
I think you're right, Cornsey. I really don't think Marcus Seacamp had a lot to do with the fact that Lucas went to the ground then. I think it was probably momentum plus the fact that Lloyd, momentum and the fact he was off balance.
Lloyd's third.
Well, young Lloyd, he's an outstanding young player, and at the same time, Seacamp has played pretty well today. And he's trying to make the point to the umpire. He was holding me, but nevertheless, we see the replay of the mark here. You see the arm of Seacamp here, stops the ball going through. Well, he is actually holding him too with the left arm, so maybe justice was done. But again, perhaps the 50-metre penalty, it's so savage for situations like that which aren't so serious.
Didn't have any crummers on the forward line for that ball up, but it was Schwartz's hand pass forward to Viney, who ran onto it, and they've got to within 11 points again. Here's a chance for Solomon to the goal square. It's carried for a goal.
Oh, that's great.
Dean Solomon.
Yes, well, the boy from Broken Hill, a young player coming in for only his 6th game, and he's featured in a couple of Essendon goals simply by being in front of the pack. You just see the front of the pack. He controlled it, went after it, onto his left boot, but straightened up.
Hey, Dipper and
just carried the distance.
And Dipper Todd Viney's just come off. Is he injured?
Yes, I think he is, Mick. When he kicked that goal, he looked straight to the bench and said, take me off. Looks like it's a thigh injury, but we'll keep you up to date with it.
What a bad blow that will be for the Demons.
Well, already without Shanahan, and if Captain Viney can't come back on, they're missing the crumbing of Farmer on the forward line. They'll be in heaps of trouble. The Bombers might get another one before half-time. Olorenshaw, Hurd hands to it. James Hurd! Will this get there? Just offline.
And that's interesting there, James Hurd. Most league clubs have got a team rule. Once you pick the ball up at the ground, it's an instinctive reaction to give the ball by hand.
Yep.
And on that occasion, you could see, I think it was Matthew Lloyd to the right of screen or the right of Hurd. The perfect execution was there to give the handball off and run into an open goal. Instead, he took it upon himself to kick it himself, and here we see the result. They're behind.
So what happens to a captain who breaks a team rule? Does he get hauled over the coals, Mick?
I think you have to. It's very important to stay within the team structure and disciplines.
You definitely get the message, Drew.
Hardwick to Mercury. There's 13 seconds left. There's time for another one for the Bombers. Down goes Eastor. He's holding it. Oh, high tackle.
That is tough. I mean, Eastor had no intention then, realised he was under the pump and went to the ground and wanted to lock the ball up rather than let the ball come out again. And I would say that Leon Shelley tried to do everything to tackle him legally. And I think it was Leon Shelley that tackled, and here he's lining up for a goal after the siren.
That won't make it. So they can't get a goal after.
It's that Essendon just slightly more desperate. No, it's been a good competitive game at ground level, but Essendon had more of the ball and making the most of their opportunities.
Stein's beaten by Eastor in the middle. Calthorpe can't get clear. The umpire will ball it up again. Melbourne led by a point at quarter time. But in the second quarter, Essendon kicked 5 goals to 2 to lead by 18. Matthew Phoebe applying a tackle. Olorenshaw over the ball. He's not doing a lot to get it out. The umpire is forced to ball it up again. Umpire Gavin Della forced to work pretty hard at the start of the second half.
And Drew, I'm particularly impressed with Simon Eastor, his ability to get in at the centre bounces and also the bounce downs around the ground. But he's got great awareness and great hands to find his teammates forward of the ball.
Leoncelli forces it inside the 50. Hurd comes charging out. It's been a good return to football by James Hurd. But the Demons moving well. Stephen Phoebe, no distance with that kick. Oh, chance for Smith. He couldn't quite take the mark. Hardwick has a collision with an opponent. Hardwick gets the hand pass out. It's a real scrap at ground level. And once again, the umpire will have to ball it up.
Yeah, well, it's been a real scrap at ground level all day, and I guess that's the thing, particularly about Melbourne. Even when they were playing poorly, they always made an effort. And Smith, who was slightly concussed, we thought, before half-time, back on the ground in spectacular style, just not able to hold that mark. But the point about Melbourne, Mick, I don't know whether it's not that long ago you played. Point was often made that teams didn't like playing them because they just kept coming at you. They were just nuisances, in fact, and not a bad reputation for your team to have, in fact.
Yeah, they're very dogged in their approach, but it's an interesting situation here as we see Steins kick the ball forward. Steins is actually going forward to do the centre bounce clearances or the stop play situations. It's Eastor who goes to the true centre forward position, the other side of the ground.
Here's a mark to Jimmy, and he pots for goal and kicks it.
Well, it's worked.
And I just can't...
Yes, but it was interesting the way they ran at Eastor then to say, well, where were you when Jimmy was down there kicking for goal? Eastor's had 7 hit-outs, and none of the Melbourne players have been able to manage that.
It's unfortunate because he's probably just following his coach's instructions, in fact, Drew.
And Eastor gets it going the Bombers' way again, but it's chopped off by Rigoni.
High tackle, Drew. Clearly knocked in the head in that ruck contest.
Eastor goes by hand to Pryor. Pryor inside the 50. Mercury. Well, he had more space on the forward line than he was entitled to.
Well, he's actually started at full forward, strangely enough, and McDonald and he have been having pushing and shoving, and you saw the advantage of that. He just let straight into space, not convincing in the mark.
The free kick was paid, Cornsey, which is surprising.
Here's Lloyd losing ground. Off to Buick with pace. Darren Buick straightens and goals.
He certainly loves him.
Yes, you didn't agree with the free kick? Or?
Well, I couldn't tell because he was actually running towards us in the marking contest, but the signal given was for a push in the back, and we all thought that the mark had been paid. But gee,
lots of ego in here, John. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's certainly a lot happening out there at the moment. And James Hird sitting down right at the true centre-half forward position. I think he's doing up his shoelace. So
no, he's just changing his boots, John, because it's starting to rain down here. He has sort of like those runner type of boots on. So he's just changed it to some stops.
And Adamusa with his jumper ripped.
Fashion statement, Cornsey.
Oh, well, it's a battle. It's a mark of battle, I suppose.
So a goal each to both teams at the start of this second half. Ola Renshaw back he goes to Masiti. Well, here come the Bombers again. Calthorpe.
It was very similar to the start of the first quarter when we've seen Mercury line up in the full forward position, giving him the space to lead into. He's a very good aerial jump, a vertical jump when he gets the ball in front of him. And as we've seen on that occasion, he got forward and got in front of McDonald, his direct opponent now.
In fact, they've taken McDonald off,
such
actually.
an important player.
McDonald's come off, and we see Gergic, who's taller, has gone straight onto Mercury.
Alessio. Masiti's in the chop there. Woden goes to ground. Steins. Not out of trouble yet, the Demons. Hand pass back to Calthorpe. Ducks into trouble. And the umpire says he'll ball it up. The Melbourne fans were yelling, ball!
Well, I mean, they've changed the interpretation.
You're dead right, Cornsey. I mean, now, Calthorpe certainly takes him on, certainly ducks, and then he decides to try to get rid of the footy. Too late then, and all of the Adelaide viewers will certainly be well aware of what we're talking about.
But I think if there's something good to come out of that Sean Wren incident, at least the player is getting opportunity to get rid of the ball once he's been claimed, and I think that's perhaps what the law intends, and I must say I'm much more in favour of the current interpretation rather than the one we've seen previously.
It's almost a philosophical thing, isn't it, Cornsey? You know, do you think he should have more time or not? And people will always be talking about that.
Matthew Phoebe back. Gergic to half forward. Schwartz. Wellman's been excellent all year. Mops up again, Sean Wellman. Oh, Hopgood did well to leave Buick. James McDonald fires out the hand pass. Leoncelli to the forward pocket. Smith. White. Johnston. Oh, it was Schwartz leading with his elbow. It comes to White, who snaps and hooks and misses.
Yes, persisting, but nothing in it, I don't think.
Well, in actual fact, they're using a 2-forward tier system with Smith and also White leading out of the true full forward position, but it's David Schwartz who's struggling at centre-half forward, looks a little bit cumbersome and slow at this stage. Maybe Gary Lyon could be the answer in that part of the ground, or White to centre-half forward and Lyon back in the square one out.
Well, two Melbourne players just about beat each other then and allowed the soccer off the ground by Solomon. The ball out of play.
Yes, they worked there. Players much more aware of what he can do if they man up with someone who's mobile and reasonably quick like Wellman is. And we just see the blood rule there.
Olerenshaw.
Ricky Olerenshaw just dribbling blood.
Last week he received about 4 stitches in his exact same spot, so it's just properly open again.
Could be an important replacement too, Mark Fraser. He's one player that really does run the lines and overlap and gives them that much needed run to cover the lines, and he can overlap in situations like that.
Hopgood at the front of the pack. Bounces it over the wing. Schwartz didn't go for the ball. Tried to shepherd Lucas off it. Wellman hand passes to himself. He's working in about 1 centimetre of space. How about that by Wellman? Calthorpe to Hird. Underneath it. Buick the runner. This is what Melbourne are lacking. Buick well played. Lucas at Lloyd. Matty Lloyd about 40 metres from goal.
And that's the ideal scenario for Darren Buick to get his confidence up. He loves the free-flowing ball. Once he gets his player inside, he turns him inside out and runs onto that open ball. But in that situation, he really assessed his options, gave the well-weighted kick to Lloyd, and we've seen the vertical jump of Matty Lloyd there. He probably got at least 2 feet off the ground, and great hands, overhead hands. Any young kid watching in that particular scenario, eyes only for the ball, great judgment.
Lloyd for his 4th, favoured by the left foot kick. But it's across the face of goal and through for a minor score. That's 3 goals, 1 to Lloyd.
That one of Wellman is interesting, John. Just watch it here. In the old days, we were told if you handball to yourself, it was a throw.
No, you can certainly handball the ball to yourself, but there's no problem handballing the ball to yourself. That's fine.
Okay.
They've almost mucked it up, the Demons, coming out of defence. Eventually, Woden finds Stephen Phoebe.
Cornsey, I think what you were probably told was that if you handball it to yourself, you're deemed to have been in possession all of the time.
Okay.
Rather than throwing it.
My grade 7 footy coach was wrong.
Schwartz, did you play an entire league career believing what your grade 7 coach had told you?
I always thought that if you handball to yourself...
I think that if a bloke handballs it to himself...
Hines at half forward for the Demons. Leoncelli slightly overrun by McDonald. Matthew Phoebe off the left. Smith!
Oh, yes.
At full stretch.
Well, he does that. Unusually, at the MCG, you can see that you get a good look at the goal, kick the goal.
Going for the boomerang.
That's for his second. It's the difference now.
Gary Lyon gone to centre half forward. Mickey McGuan, you'll be coaching before you know it. Good luck.
You won't need a barber.
He still gets the hand pass out. Oh, this is a comedy act. Uze out of defence for the Demons. Oh, overrun back there. And a chance for Melbourne. As it's kicked forward by Lamaro up towards the forward pocket. And the ball out of bounds. And a throw in.
Once Hardwick had overrun the ball, then Drew, he just shook his head, knowing exactly what he'd done wrong, but unfortunately not in a position to rectify it.
That was Troy Longmuir actually getting a kick on the outer side, making his debut. White did well in ruck and flipped further afield. Gary Lyon off with a little hand pass. McDonald and just misses to the right.
Straight away we can see the impact that a Gary Lyon can have, especially in a tight situation. He really keeps his balance, eyes only for the footy, and he just has that presence of mind knowing that what's going on about him. As we see here, he attacked the footy in the right, aggressive, appropriate manner. He just had the presence of mind. He knew that his teammate was inside him in McDonald. It's just unfortunate the goal wasn't scored.
That's the sort of little hand pass that James Hird should have given in the second quarter.
You're definitely right there, Drew.
Wellman inside the 50 to Lloyd.
It's a great kick.
And Matthew Lloyd is starting to regain some of the touch that he had early season when he kicked 10 goals in an Ansett Cup game against the Hawks.
They're giving him good service at the ball, though, Drew. We saw Sean Wellman there had moved away from half-back, and I read an article earlier in the week that said they thought Sean Wellman's pace was not as it should be, but Sean Wellman, a very quick player over 20 or 30 metres, ran forward, he's got very good hands, and his kick to Lloyd, the leading full forward, was spot on. Now, a lot of work to be done here with the kick. He's kicking into the breeze and from 51 or 52 metres, but he's a very good young player.
This for number 4. Offline again, so he's missed his last 2 shots.
But gee, made the distance easily, Mick.
But I think also credit must be given to James Hird on that situation when the ball was coming forward. He didn't commit himself in the line of where Lloyd was going to lead, and that's probably what they've lost over the last couple of weeks. Without the presence of Hird, the know-how, the ability he's got to read the play, there's no point going to an area of the ground where your teammate is going to get yours and all you're going to do is offer congestion.
Uze out of the back pocket. That was pinpoint. He's cleared the 50 to Ingerson, who played on. He played on. He's caught. He's lucky to get away with it.
Drew, it's got to be one or the other. Either he hasn't played on or he's held the footy. And here he goes. There is no doubt why McDonald plays on, tries to get out of it, still hanging on to the footy, holding the ball.
Good on you, Johnny. You're not sitting on the fence. Good to see. Definitely holding the ball from a player's perspective.
No doubt at all.
Alessio. Schwartz is back there in defence. Uze wide for Matthew Phoebe.
Mate, for 15 years I haven't sat on the fence. I'm the only bloke that sticks his neck on the line.
Ingerson, if he gets it this time, he won't want to play on. If he does, make a good fist of it. Leoncelli, he just about ran himself into trouble. Now Lucas. Good kick. James Hird in the cricket pitch area. 2 straight kicks the difference. Wide for Buick. And it was just his pace that got him there in front of Hopgood.
Yes, and you still see Danaher persisting, or Neil Danaher persisting with Shane Woden on James Hird. It's just not the best matchup. And plenty of space for Buick here. The kick was perfect, able to run onto it. And don't you like to have space when you're a forward? Don't you like to have the ball put in front of you just so you can run on it without breaking stride at all?
It's like he's enjoying this, Darren Buick, walking into goal.
Put away at the goals and have come up with nothing. Well, Buick's kicked 1-1 in this quarter. Lloyd's kicked 2 behinds.
Yeah, Dipper, which way is the wind actually favouring now? It looks to be favouring the end Essendon are kicking to.
Yes, Mick, at times it is, but it is very swirly down here, and at times it drops off, at times it picks up. So really, it's Essendon's favour at the moment.
Looking over the shoulder of Shane Woden as he kicks in. He might kick in soon.
Well, Essendon have pushed all their half-forward line to put into the screen, Drew. That's why there's no space. You didn't know which option to use.
Steins or Ingerson. Eastor, good mark.
He's been quite impressive too since coming from Norwood.
Mark McCurry inside the 50. On to Buick. Buick from 25. Beautiful kick.
Well, there's been much debate recently about the skill of the game. Is it as good as it used to be? And when you see goals and kicks executed like that, there's no doubt these players today executing the skills as they've never done before. On the run, check side, knew exactly what he was doing.
You can see the beautiful balance there also, Cornsey, and the taut foot as he kicked the ball. He had his leg directly in line at the goals, taut foot, perfect execution, great goal.
Scored 2 goals today, that's 11 for the season, and he kicked only 9 goals all of last year. Five minutes remaining to three-quarter time. 13-point game at the MCG. Wellman, so good. Eastor, Pryor, had to get rid of it in a hurry, didn't go any distance. Spills to Steins. Gary Lyon, who forced the pack open. His kick out in front of Ola Renshaw. Now it's all Melbourne. McDonald, back to half forward.
Oh, good mark.
Eastor again. Masiti towards the 50. Seacamp using his body. It comes to the back. Crunch! Down goes Woden.
You can just sense Dean Solomon is one hell of a competitor. At the early stage of his career, he runs straight at the player with the ball. He really tackles in a disciplined manner. And you can just see the way he does it here. Woden, he just puts his body in, makes the tackle. There was no way known young Woden was going to be released by Solomon's tackle on that occasion.
Well, he played senior footy in Broken Hill. It must be a tough school, eh?
It would be.
Hardwick, wide to the pocket. Caracella. Bird is with him. Oh, great hands just to flip the ball up to himself. A high ball near the goal square. And out of bounds.
Just a desperate fist then in the spoil. It's a dangerous place for any defence to have the ball come, but you just saw the Melbourne fist. I don't even know who it was. It just stopped any Essendon mark from that dangerous situation.
Melbourne need to get it out of here. Good running by Matthew Phoebe. Leoncelli, a slips catch. Just in front of the Smoker stand. Where is Smoker?
Yeah, great kick.
Beautiful kick. Oh, White, you should have gobbled that, son. Well, eventually he recovered and did pretty well. The kick to full forward, but Fletcher came out. And that kick up the ground came from Longmuir. Fletcher marked for Essendon. Wide to Masiti. 3 minutes to three-quarter time. Half distance passed by Masiti to Ola Renshaw.
Yes, Jeff White's gone to centre-half forward. Gary Lyon gone to the pocket. And just looking as though he's struggling a little bit for legs, Gary, at the moment.
The other end of the ground, Cornsey. Blake Caracella, who struggled all day with only 2 possessions, he's gone to the true full forward position, hoping to get involved in the game.
Leoncelli inside the 50. Beautifully read out of the defence. Masiti, some sort of a hand pass. Good use of the body by Longmuir. Well done, son. Masiti might have been legged. It comes to Johnston. And that was a banana when he didn't want the banana.
He's a good kid. He's a very good young kid, and they'll be doing their best to rough him up, but I don't think he's up to the task.
Certainly plays beyond his years, Cornsey.
Yeah.
Berbikoff. Lucas flies high. Melbourne tackling very hard. James McDonald back on the ground.
That was a great tackle.
Matty Lloyd comes off the ground for Jukovic. Interesting train. Andrew Jukovic's gone to the centre forward position. Hurd's alongside him, and also Solomon.
Masiti out of a tough situation. High to the wing. Uze the only chance. Mark was completed before the spoil. Adam Uze. Melbourne could get another one before the siren. We'd have a great last quarter. Jim Stein's in space. He puts the ball wide. Smith again. Lucas. And look at the space out here. Blumfield. Jukovic dashing away from Gergic and taking the mark. Carosella leading from the goal square. Jukovic gets around and delivers well to Buick, who's kicked 2 in this quarter, now going for a hat-trick.
You can just see the parallels between those two players, Brent Gergic and also Andrew Jukovic. Very good, athletic type, mobile players, but great execution. Took himself on to get around Brent Gergic on the mark, but also had the presence of mind to go to his non-dominant side and use the ball in an effective manner to give Buick an opportunity to kick a goal for the Bombers.
I see the common thread there.
You say Gergic and then Andrew Jukovic.
Buick about 42 metres out. Pilots at home!
Well, we saw the angle before. It wasn't that great. At the same time, we saw Matthew Lloyd on the bench. But Boris fancied his chances.
And that's his third for the quarter, Cornsey.
And beautifully balanced, as you've said before, Mick. Just no effort there. The really good players don't put effort into it. The ball is dropped straight, the leg comes through straight, and the ball went straight. If anything, he probably aimed at the right-hand goalpost, just allowed it to come back slightly. Essendon just maintaining that 3-goal break.
Well, both teams have kicked 3 goals in this third quarter, and all of Essendon's 3 have come from Darren Buick. 50 seconds remaining before the siren. Rigoni's hand pass. Out to McDonald. Anthony McDonald gets to the 50, kicks long, but offline.
And they're the ones you have to kick to keep your team involved in the contest. When you've taken it upon yourself, knowing that the forwards had led at the ball carrier, once you come across 50 metres, as Anthony McDonald did on that occasion, it's just unfortunate he didn't kick accurately and give the impetus to the Melbourne team. He did take it upon himself. Good instinctive play.
The margin, 18 points, exactly what it was at three-quarter time. At half-time. James McDonald getting a bit of treatment, and Moorcroft seems to be the man who will dead set step up and say, I'll give treatment if you want treatment.
Yes, he's certainly pugnacious, but he's got to have a bit more than that to go with it sometimes. Jeff White, great stretch, but you just didn't control it, of course.
And as we speak, Cornsey, Gary Lyon has just been replaced by David Schwartz, and Schwartz has gone to the full forward position alongside Sean Smith, leading from the square.
They just haven't been able to get a presence, dominating presence on the full forward line, have they?
Only 2 seconds left, so that change has been a bit of a waste of time. Here's the siren. Now Fletcher kicks in. Pryor, still in the back pocket. 9 marks to Pryor and 21 possessions. Outside 50 to Alessio, just off the bench. Running past Lucas. Nobody going to him. Lucas to the attacking 50.
Oh,
Hopgood. It's a bit airy. Oh, interception. Jukovic had a chance. Uze did well. And it's all Melbourne out here. Shane Woden buys himself a bit of time. He's got Phoebe.
great chase and tackle by Solomon. Turnover.
Hurd at centre wing. Back to the 50. And a dive by Mercury.
Yes, and it's the pressure by Solomon on the Melbourne player then that just caused the turnover. And this kid Solomon from Broken Hill, you love to see a kid from the country do well. And he's put his whole body on the line in this game particularly.
And I said Woden bought some time, but he bought a bit too much.
Just allowed the player to close down and put pressure on the disposal.
Mercury goes in short. He delayed and he delayed and he waited for a lead, and Calthorpe said thank you.
Yeah, he hit the nail on the head in that occasion, Drew. That's what Mark Mercury's very good at. He creates an option just because he's got the presence of mind. He knows that there's no hurry. He can just take all the time he likes. At some stage, there'll be some teammate that'll drift into that hole as David Calthorpe did, and he released the ball. Only 15 metres or so, but all of a sudden Calthorpe Mercury could have kicked the goal, but all of a sudden the percentages go through the roof. Calfoot might kick a goal for the Bombers.
47 metres out. He's missed.
Well, they're exchanging behind. Still plenty in this game, of course. 3 goals from Melbourne. Melbourne definitely would have some confidence last week. We see Eastow here. Beautiful tap from wide, incidentally, but Eastow just goes down. And is it goes for his ribs? Well, that was the knee of White right into the ribs, and that's the problem ruckman face these days when they're forced to come at each other.
Adam Uze took a very good mark just in the nick of time. To the centre wing. Works to the back. Hardwick. Round the corner. Ian Shelley is there. Ingerson.
Good tackle.
Took a while to get rid of it. White. Seacamp. Missed the target. Pryor. Inside 50. Here come the Bombers. Jugovic on the
short.
Half volley, still good enough. Caracella, and away goes to Joey Masiti.
Well, they made hard work of it. And you felt Jugovic perhaps should have driven at the goals. He came back instead, had the 2 players short when the player could control it. And you just see Jugovic turns back inside. Not a bad option. Size it up like, oh no, I've got a short. I've got a playmate there. And Caracella just beautifully gives it off to Joe Masiti. Joe's not convincing with this kick, incidentally, but it does go through the big ones.
Yeah, well, they had a lot of touches inside the attacking 50 to get that goal. But the Bombers have opened up a bit of a break now. It's a 4-goal lead. Stephen Phoebe comes out wide. Rigoni. Gary Lyon.
Well, it's a reply you want. The Essendon defenders keen to make the contest here. 2-on-1. When 2 players are up, there's a spare one on the ground. And you have to make that decision. And Gary Lyon has the advantage of that. Dustin Fletcher had to go for it. Lyon controls it, spins beautifully.
1 goal, 1 each at the start of this last quarter. James Hird in the middle 4. Brings it to full forward. Caracella. It's chopped off by Seacamp. Down goes Blumfield. Good tackle, Seacamp. Claiming a free kick. Caracella trying to haul the ball in. The umpire's going to ball this up.
Dipper, do you know if there's anything wrong with Lloyd?
No, he's just been up and down, had a run on the boundary line here. He looks fine at the moment.
Mick, why wouldn't he be at full forward after his 3rd quarter? I mean, he's got 3 goals. He looked good in the 3rd quarter. Why wouldn't he be there?
Yeah, it'd be an interesting one. Maybe they're just trying to restructure their forward structure, knowing that Caracella played an important role there last week, and he's gone to the true full forward post.
James Hird about 40 metres in the clear when he took that mark. Mercury couldn't quite get his hands around the ball. Ingerson. Gee, that's a tough situation there. The wide line's your best friend.
Pushing the back page. It's not your best friend there, Drew. And Adam Uze is not happy.
Well, Uze, it just looked as though Uze jumped over the top to gain possession of the footy, and here we see Uze trying to get at the footy.
That's in his back, surely. He's jumped on his back.
He's allowed to go at the footy, Nick.
He's in his back too.
He's allowed to do whatever he can to get at the footy. I mean, if there's somebody underneath him when he lunges over the top to get the ball, you have to say that his prime endeavour was to get the footy as he drills the goal.
And he's kicked a miracle goal from the boundary line.
That is class.
That is class. Mark Mercury, well, he's the one that looks like he's the dominant forward in this game. Just see the replay here of the free kick. Mercury scrambling for it. Uze trying to come over the top. Well, I don't know whether the free kick's there. I mean, in all fairness. But anyway, Mercury got the free kick, lined them up, plenty of daylight, and he knows it too. Well done.
And Drew, the goal-for-goal trend continues.
Yeah. There's Travis Johnston in the foreground. He's just come on to replace Lamaro and gets a touch straight away. And he's been doing that a fair bit today. That's 17 possessions. Oh, great mark, Gergic. Now maybe a kid who's been so quiet today can win it in the last quarter.
He's an an outstanding young talent. We saw him last week, played such an important part in their win over Collingwood, but just one-handed. And players practice that a lot more these days than they ever did.
So Gergic from 51 metres. Got plenty of distance on it. There's Gergic held when he didn't have it. Listen to the members now. Gergic again, dispossessed by Fletcher, and the ball out of play.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of there, Drew, is the umpires are told that if, here we see it again, if it's only a momentary grab, they're told to ignore it. There's Gergic flattened by Dustin Fletcher. That's not the one we're talking about. A momentary grab would normally be called as play on.
Well, Melbourne, they're lifting now. They're back to a margin or deficit of 18 points again. And I'm sure that the way Melbourne have fought games out this year, they give themselves a chance. Gee, they won last week by 3 points. They beat Carlton by 2 points. And so they play it to the whistle. Play it to the final siren. And the whistle took a long time coming then. Leoncelli. In fact, it didn't come at all. Alessio, Masiti, across the ground towards the southern stand side. Ola Renshaw at full stretch. Great mark. Zigzagging into Lucas. With penetration. Right to the top of the goal square. Carousella there. Mercury goes to ground. McDonald. Solomon is a tough nut in the tackles, isn't he?
He certainly is.
I don't think they have grass on the grounds at Broken Hill, so he probably is pretty tough.
I like him.
Look at him go here.
He's from the old school, Drew.
Which school's that?
Oh, he's hard and tough.
Just feel the body. Hit me, I'll hit you back.
Big chance here for the Bombers with the ball up within about 5 metres of goal. White gets it to the boundary line.
Sky Lucas has certainly picked up his form the last 2 quarters, but has he got a beautiful kick on him? He's always covering 50, 60 metres.
As long as it's on the left. Clean possession, but he gave it straight up to Hopgood. James Hird, he's everywhere. Well,
he's just got better as the game has gone on, Drew. He's just getting into percentage spots now. It's so important for his direct opponent to stay with him because he's playing the percentage spot, getting away from the congested area.
Yes, and he has that licence, or appears to have the licence to go wherever he wants, whenever he wants. I mean, Kevin Sheedy obviously has given him flexibility to start from defence and run forward if he wishes to do so. And that gives him confidence. Alessio has been very important since coming on, forced onto the ground when Easto went off with sore ribs. This kick is not beyond him at all.
Now Alessio, right from the red line. It's away to the right and rushed through.
Good defence by Woden. Conceded the point. That's what you have to do in that part of the ground. Live to fight another day. Do the percentage thing for your team.
Does make the margin just over 3 straight kicks. So from here they'd need 4 goals to win. 11 and a quarter minutes remaining. Demons last week won from behind against Collingwood, but the week before they were absolutely belted in the last quarter by Richmond. So it's hard to work out whether they're strong finishers or not.
Well, I think it's going to be the psychological balance this week. I mean, we've seen Melbourne have had a pretty good year. They're playing well. They start to slip into some sort of comfort zone, albeit subconsciously. Essendon are absolutely desperate. I mean, their season is right on the line with this game. You'd expect them to be more desperate and perhaps finish a bit stronger, but only time will tell.
Bird again. This is 30 metres out from goal. Uze's been good. Lucas flips up the hand pass. Calthorpe, great goal.
David Calthorpe. Well, he's a bit of a conundrum as a footballer, isn't he? He just doesn't look as though he's going to do it quickly or elegantly, but he keeps bobbing up. Chunky, rollicking type of play. You see Lucas makes the action here, gets it out to Calthorpe. He's seen the goals already before he saw the ball on the boot. And that's the way it should be. If you're a forward line in 50, you see the goals, go at them. The results on the board.
Well, it's a big break now for the Bombers. And possibly the biggest break for the game. So Melbourne will have to really rush home in the last 10 minutes if they're to pinch this. Here goes Solomon. Broken Hill personified. He kicked it like a miner from Broken Hill. Uze. Oh, shocking kick straight to Masiti. Lucas, he's starting to hurt now. Long on for left, but he hooked it badly. Out of bounds, failed to score.
That's what generally happens when you're at your maximum kicking distance. You can just see he tried to over-kick the situation. His head went outside the line of his body, and he's totally disappointed in that effort.
Yes, what did he say?
Oh, well.
You're right, he just absolutely gave it everything, and of course, like most players do when they do that, just hooked it.
Matty Lloyd's about to come back on too, Drew.
Kick by Woden. Steins.
Pushing it back.
Gee,
now that's a tough one. I mean, on many occasions tonight or today, we've seen that sort of contact has been allowed to continue. Now, what the umpire has decided here is that Jimmy Steins' prime objective was not to mark the ball. The question he's trying to answer was his prime objective to mark the ball, and he's concluded no, and I think it probably was.
Well, Pryor running off his man and way up from defence, and Pryor now has the chance to kick his second goal.
Matthew Lloyd about to come on, and you just start to see some cracks in the Melbourne's defence. They've been very good. They've been very good for a long time. But now Essendon controlling the ball, and they're just using it a lot better than they were at the start of this game, of course. Mark Pryor's had a pretty good game. You can see there 17 kicks, 10 marks. Coming up for his second goal.
He has the red and black flags.
Yeah, very good discipline by the Essendon forward structure there. They knew Lucas was probably outside of his kicking distance, that being 65 metres out from goal. But it was Pryor who drifted forward. Beautiful, methodical manner. Head directly in line over the ball. Great follow through. Head directly in line where he was actually kicking the ball to. Any young kid watching that particular action, that's how you kick the ball in the right, appropriate manner.
Well, it's the master coach against the pupil here today, and it looks like the master is going to come out on top. Stephen Phoebe kicks Melbourne forward out of the centre circle. Wellman going for the line. And with just 8 3/4 minutes left, it's a long way back for the Demons. But you can make excuses. Shanahan.
Yes.
Farmer's missing.
Todd Viney off since second quarter.
Long-term injury to Neitz. Schwartz struggled.
It's interesting now what they'll do with Schwartz, given the fact his form over the last couple of weeks hasn't been great. Does he go back and have a run in the twos, or do they persevere with him off the bench?
Also, I think credit has to be given to Essendon. I think they've started to be really workmanlike in their approach over the last couple of weeks. Some of their good players, Hurd, Mercury, are starting to get back into a little bit of fitness and form. And Calthorpe's been good today. He's having that extra bit of run through the midfield.
There's the bloke, Corns. He looks as though he can't run, shouldn't be able to play footy, and he does it again.
But there's times he thinks he's Darryl Baldock. He takes them on and often gets away with it.
Smoker, half-distance pass. Leoncelli, still on the wing. Covers plenty of distance. White didn't reach him because Alessio got in front and took the mark. To Pryor, who's had a lot of the ball. That's 24 possessions and 10 marks. Mercury's been good as well. And Joe Masiti, who's just a ball magnet, keeps getting it. 25 possessions. Pryor once more. Blumfield. Well, he's been a bit quiet today.
I don't think we've seen Mark Pryor play as well as this for a long time.
Mark Pryor,
Central District in Adelaide.
Here's Sean Wellman up from defence, and I think you can safely say the Bombers are home.
And he's been exceptional also across half-back. He's been a springboard of attack all day as Sean Wellman. He's really developed that time to drift forward, get into the usable spot, into that forward 50. We've seen him execute the pass in the earlier quarter to Buick, and also they're pushing forward late, even though it's late in the game. That's terrific play by a defender who takes it upon himself to push forward at the right percentage time, but more importantly, kick the goal. Very important player.
Well, it's a big break now. It's 5 goals to 2 in this last quarter, and they started the term already leading by 3. Schwartz is back on the ground for Melbourne, but it looks like it's going to be a lost cause. Here he goes again. Calthorpe, the barrel. Through Masiti, wide to Olorenshaw and Caracella.
Drew, you talk about David Calthorpe. It's the best game he's played for about 12 months. He certainly added a lot of run for the Essendon side, and it's one thing he enjoys doing, as we see tonight.
Yeah, he's had 12 kicks, 11 hand passes, taken 8 marks.
Mark McCurry coming off, that's the applause you can hear, and Andrew Jukovic going onto the ground.
Now Caracella, away to the right. He's only 2 scores today, been 2 behinds.
I dare say, Drew, that maybe just resting Mark McCurry, knowing that he's coming back. I think it's his 2nd or 3rd game in succession, and just to have the important player get through a game, you know, only sort of 6 or 7 minutes left to play this last quarter out. We want him fit for next week. It's a very important game the Bombers have got.
And big Ryan O'Connor pacing up and down by the interchange bench saying, let me on. He's going to get 5 or 6 minutes of play. He spent most of the time on the interchange bench. In fact, all the time on the interchange bench up until now.
Yes, picked as an emergency, but he came in to replace Gary O'Donnell. The Rhino. Wellman at the back of the pack. Centering kick. Well, luck's a fortune, but he is a ball magnet, and it's exactly where it went to Joey.
He's just got better of the actual one-on-one duel with Lee and Charlie Hasmasidi, especially in the second half. They were evenly matched up to the half-time break, but as the games wore on, Jomas certainly gets into percentage spots to receive, and as you said, Drew, he certainly is a ball magnet, uses them by hand and by foot very effectively, and I wouldn't be surprised here Joe kicks the 2nd goal, his 2nd goal for the day.
Yep. We can't all be like you, Dipper.
51 metres. Gee, it's a great looking kick.
Oh, it's a good leg.
Just hooked it.
Nothing wrong about being a ball magnet.
Gary Lyon at full back.
Yeah, it was a fair chance to be the short kick in rather than the big boomer.
But it's a very poor percentage now because Phoebe's got nowhere to go.
And Essendon know which side of the ground Melbourne are coming out on.
And it's not an option they normally use.
That's good play.
Yeah, that's worked out well.
2 Melbourne players unmarked at centre half back. Seacamp fires off the hand pass. That's Lamaro. Schwartz. Just taken out of it by Fletcher. Fletcher conceding some ground. Back to Berbatov, but Schwartz followed up and saw it out.
It's that type of work that David Schwartz did on that occasion. The ball didn't run for him, but he really didn't get himself out of the contest. He really pushed towards the ball carrier and created a smother. They're the type of things you've got to do, so you're not a liability within the team. And it's that workmanlike effort that gets you back involved into a contest.
Here's Rhino getting his first touch, and the crowd loved it. Eventually it goes to the bloke who's got a haircut like a helicopter landing pad. Moorcroft up to Fraser. Fraser inside the 50. Lucas.
Well, he's worked his way into the game. He's quite impressive stats now. He's had 14 kicks, taken 8 marks and had 6 handballs, but probably got better as the day has gone on. Ran forward, saw the ball in the air, and if you're his size, his position, you've just got to go for it.
So Lucas from right in front, 50 metres out. Distance no problem. Accuracy there.
Oh, that's a massive kick. Look at the smile. Look at the smile. He's had his frustrations during the day, but as we said, he's got better as the day gone on. Eyes over the ball. Drops it beautifully. Strong follow through. Let the leg bring the head up. He's watching. Yes, no doubt about that. I'm pretty pleased with that. It's a very ugly mouth guard, I might say, though. Scotty Lucas.
White takes a big run at them. Rigoni out of the middle. And Rigoni's kick to the forward pocket. Ingerson pulled down by the scruff of the neck and will take a free kick.
Anthony Ingerson on for Jimmy Steins, Drew. Started pretty well, I thought, in defence. There was no doubt about that. Spent the last little bit of the time on the bench. Now, Anthony Ingerson, a left foot kick for goal. You would not have your money on it.
It's been a favourable pocket, though, all day, hasn't it, Cornsey, I suppose? Matty Lloyd, Darren Buick, they've kicked a couple of goals. I'll actually put myself on the line here. I'll say Anthony Ingerson will kick the goal.
But you know a bit about him,
You didn't coach him. Oh, he's done me. He's done me.
And the wind at the moment is lighter than it's been all day. Pryor hacks the ball out of the air. Fraser couldn't take the mark. It's put down his pants. Here's Joey Mercedes again. Oh, Hopgood.
High tackle on Hopgood.
Well, he was just playing the ball and wasn't entitled to see the Broken Hill kid coming.
Didn't see the Broken Hill train coming in here.
Wow.
Oh, now, Dean, it's good to be energetic, enthusiastic, aggressive, but there's
Clearly a high tackle.
rules that you have to abide by.
Phoebe marks on the members' wing. Stephen Phoebe. 3 minutes remaining in the game. Good centering pass. White. Uze. But it's all over for the Demons today. They're going to lose just their 3rd game for the season. Ricky Olorenshaw. That's 20 possessions for him. Lucas. He'd love to be a forward on the end of this. James Hurd. Punched by Woden. Hurd. Jukovic. Clever. To the goal square. Seacamp bowled over. Hopgood's recovered and delivers well to Uze. Essendon broke a 4-game losing streak last week when they beat Brisbane. It's 2-3 against St Kilda and Carlton. White to full forward. Ingerson caught out of position. Well done, Broken Hill. Solomon.
But he gives you the impression he can play either end of the ground. He's a real body-on-body player, and that's the ideal starting point from a defensive attitude. That's what you have to have when you go to that part of the ground. But also he gets the forward line for the Bombers, and he gets to usable spots a lot of the time. Promising player.
Backwards kick there by Buick to Berbatov.
Yes,
Now, they won't,
running down the clock now, I think.
do you run down the clock when it's 122 to 84?
Oh, I think that's the best time to do it, sure.
Back to Moorcroft again, Drew.
Yeah, the crowd will wake up to it, but nobody's standing the mark. So Moorcroft goes and kicks to a contest near centre wing. Uze punches. It gets behind him, though. Matthew Phoebe. Blumfield.
A free kick in the back, I think.
Yep, that's what it's been paid for.
So Caracella takes it. Alessio. Why run down the clock when you can kick more goals? Alessio centres. They're a chance, the Bombers. Oh, overrun by Lloyd.
Oh, clever.
Jukovic, well done. Here's the barrel. Oh,
gee
umpire, I
whiz.
was trying to punch the ball, umpire.
Well, we might have to have another look at that.
Well, Hayden Lamaro looks remarkably like a Sherry.
Well, have a look at this in replay. What was he trying to do? Ball first.
Yeah, it's just easier to go for the ball around his ears.
Oh, no damage done.
Back to the centre. Smith off hands to Pryor. Very good game, Michael Pryor. O'Connor, nearly all day on the bench. That wasn't a bad tackle to get him down. That's young Longmuir in his first game. Well, that's like standing in front of the Southern Aurora.
He's a big boy, Ryan O'Connor.
Real congestion here at centre wing. Well, next week Essendon go on and play Hawthorn at Waverley. So that'll be 10 games in a row in Melbourne for the Bombers. They don't go interstate until round 12. They play the Crows at Footy Park.
I think they only had 2 outside of Victoria.
Yeah, they got the Dockers in Perth. Just seconds remaining. That doesn't matter. It's out on the full. Siren. And the Bombers have won. Sheedy beats the pupil in Neil Danaher. And Michael Pryor played a magnificent game and salutes the victory with the supporters.
Yes, and I think there was a message to one of his opponents there who must have given him a bit of a cheek, a bit of cheek, but Michael